What is up, homies? Welcome back to a new episode of the CzechXicans podcast. This format's going to be a little bit different. You'll get used to it. It'll be fine. This is not how it's permanently going to be for the foreverness of the future. We talked about on our YouTube channel a few days ago, or actually it was a week ago now, how we're going to be pivoting because of everything that's been going on with the WGA and the SAG-AFTRA Strike. So we're going to get into that. We're also going to be talking about some of our plans moving forward, what we're going to be doing. We're going to talk a little bit how we're going to be pivoting some of our content. We're not going cold turkey. I think that may be the impression that some people may have gotten from when we announced, that we were going to be pivoting and doing different things.
We can't do a cooking special every week, guys.
We can't. We can't.
Something.
We can't make huevos con weenies for the next 15 years.
No.
It's not. Okay. We can't do that. But I'm looking forward to. We're going to talk about Comic-Con a little bit too, because that just happened. There's been a few things that have come out in the recent days, whether they're movies or shows or trailers, and we're literally not talking about them together. We're not hosting about them, and it sometimes hurts because I want to be talking about I want to be talking about 70 millimeter IMAX. I want to be talking about all these things, and I'm just like
that I love.
Yeah.
Come on, man. I want to talk about that movie so much.
But I can't. To look on the bright side, Augustine was messaging us in our little chat and was like, "Man, this is the first time I haven't like a big trailer came out and I just watched it.
I didn't have
to check in with you guys." And he was like, "It's kind of nice." So we have to enjoy this little vacation. We have to take the good with the bad, because dude, I'm right there with you. I definitely want to talk about a bunch of stuff that's happening or gonna come out. But Comic-Con, we can get into talking about that. Comic-Con was really cool because it was a real great focus on not that. It was some of it obviously was still there, but Comic-Con is interesting because there were big panels last year and have historically been for many years, 20 years, of big studios presentations in Hall H. And so for Comic-Con this year, there were smaller panels like there usually is, but it kind of felt like there was even more excitement and energy for that kind of stuff, right? I ran into a friend of mine who's an author, and he was like, I had a few panels and they were packed. People are just champing at the bit to kind of get anything, it seems like, and we're really excited. So I'll give you another example is Thursday morning was sort of the first big day of Comic-Con. Thursday morning, I went to a panel that they've done every year, but it's the superhero movie composers panel, and they had a couple of returning people and some new people, and it was hosted by Michael Giacchino. You could talk about the specifics of their work, but even just to hear them talking about the process and and they went into some specifics, and some of them were movie and TV, and some of them were both, and some of them were one or the other, and one of them was even I believe it was Christopher Lennertz, who's the composer for a rated R superhero show. I'm not going to say where it is. Also, I think I'm allowed to talk about this. He also was the writer for the music for the Disney California Adventure, Rogers the Musical. So they went into that, and I was like, oh, this is really cool. And I didn't know that was going to happen, and I had just happened to recently see that 30-minute production at Disneyland, and it was really cool. And so, you get to see some of that. So like we were saying right before we started recording, yes, all of that stuff, so much of that stuff can be directly tied to some big major studio corporate IP that they own, but you can, Comic-Con for me was trying to get some action figures. Augustine, again, I'm sorry that I couldn't get you those action figures you wanted.
It's okay.
It was brutal, dude. I was I got to the front to the table and then they sold out. And I clicked a little video, tried to click a video of the people grabbing the action figures out of the display case, selling the last ones.
The last one.
Two or three people away, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. This sucks. But anyway.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good, man. I appreciate the effort. That's what matters.
We'll get them for you. They will be yours.
We will.
Yes,
we will. One day.
But it was about looking at action figures. It was about checking out comics and talking about comics or novels. I picked up a novel I met through a mutual friend. Oh, I didn't know that you knew this person and they're an author and they had a signing, for their book or whatever. So I bought their book and they signed it for me. It was a great way to meet a brand new potential friend, just somebody you didn't know before. And they're excited about their thing that is not a studio project. It's their original book that they wrote, and it seemed interesting. And I'm like, yeah, hell yeah, I'll buy that. I want to check that out. I'll read it. And I may end up talking about it on this show. It's okay. We can talk about that kind of stuff.
We can do that.
Going forward. So yeah, Comic-Con was really cool, but it was definitely, it had a different vibe, and I really liked what felt like a more relaxed vibe. Was it still packed? Yes. Was it still pretty gross packed in certain days? on the floor, like Friday and Saturday. Yeah, it was. But I think there was a real excitement for all the panels. There was a real excitement for, a bunch of stuff. Just really, really cool stuff that they had there. So,
yeah. Well, and Comic-Con's tricky because, the studios backed out of it and the talent and everything because of the strikes backed out so last minute. I think, no more than 3 to 4 weeks prior to. So it's tough, obviously, because people have already bought tickets, they've bought airfare, they've bought lodging, they've completely set up their trip to, be around Comic-Con. So they're going no matter what. So when studios and everybody pulls out 3 weeks before, they're not going to, at least as far as I don't think most people are going to back out of it because you're going to sacrifice, not getting a refund for your hotel, your airfare, everything. So at that point, you're like, well, you got to just make the best of it. So it was nice to hear and to see that the artists who, famously over the years, especially in the last 20 years, like we've been going to Comic-Con since before it was, the most busiest pop culture phenomenon in the world. Back when it was like small potatoes and you could wait in line on the day of and get a ticket and walk in. It's kind of nice to see that even though the Artist Alley has kind of been pushed into a corner, that it was getting so much traction this year and people were going up to artists and getting things signed and all that sort of stuff. Like I've seen artists say that they normally have to make a certain amount of money to justify, having their table and doing signings and all that. And some folks were able to make that back in 1 day or 2 days. So
that's
great.
Awesome, dude.
It's great to see that even though, yes, the big studios didn't come with their big presentations, Hall H didn't have 7,000 people in every single panel every single day. It's nice to hear and to see that, folks were still able to kind of set those expectations aside and focus on something else that is still in some ways connected to the thing that they love. It's just a different medium, or it's just a different way of looking at it. And I hope that people walked away, maybe having a new appreciation or having a bigger appreciation for things that are outside of TV shows and films that we're so used to kind of consuming on an annual basis all the time. So, if it was a little piece of the olden day, then, that's always a fun time.
You kind of bring up a point that we kind of talked about at the fan meetup, by the way. The fan meetup went incredible at San Diego Comic-Con.
Thanks,
it was so good.
It was great.
Everybody was so cool and so fun. Like normally I'm just like, okay, we'll get to meet people. Everybody there was really rad. But that's kind of a conversation that we had with a few of the first timers. A few of our followers who came for the first time had never been to San Diego Comic-Con. They're like, this is massive. We don't this doesn't happen at other cons. This is great. Like specifically this group that came from New York and their normal Comic-Con was New York Comic-Con. And I assumed New York Comic-Con was just as massive as San Diego. And they were like, it's not. It's not nearly like this. They're like, as soon as you step out of the con, there's no con. San Diego is absorbed by the con.
Into everything.
Yeah.
Parties, restaurants, the whole city is like electric with the energy from Comic-Con. But other places don't have that. And they were talking about how it's more small panel focused. Like you can really go in and like nerd out. And I feel like that was the essence of the con this year of like being small, being able to reach the things that you might have missed in the last couple of cons, and you're able to really explore. Another one of my favorite things was being able to walk the con floor and not bump into people. It was great. It was still packed. But you know how, and this is only for people who have been there, when you walk down that center aisle, down the middle of the giant room,
the biggest one,
impossible to get around. Yes, it's impossible to move around. So you have to navigate through the outsides, and then you end up missing a lot of the really cool stuff on the inside because you literally cannot walk into this giant group of people. And this year I was just walking down the middle. Like it was, like I said, it was still lots of people there, but nothing like years before. And I really enjoyed that.
Even during the times of the day on Saturday or Friday where that center one was too crunchy, I could at least like look to the side and go, there at least seems to be some openness on some of these
over that way
side aisles. Yeah, I'm like, let me dip into the side alley. Where sometimes at the height, it felt like on a Saturday in the middle of the day on the floor of Comic-Con, you would be in that middle aisle. You'd look to your right, packed. Look to your left, packed. Like you couldn't. You're just like, well, I'm just going with the crowd and we'll get out of here in an hour, I guess.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I feel like we've seen, especially, people like us who've been to so many San Diego Comic-Cons, the evolution of being able to, like you guys are saying, walk through the floor and it'd be busy, but you can still get through, and it's fairly simple to get through and around people. And then somewhere in the mid 2000s, like 2005, 2006, when they started bringing a lot more of those tentpole films, we started to see very quickly, oh, people are now camping out in front of Hall H.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's getting serious now. Imagine it's got to be refreshing to be able to just kind of like mosey on by and just look at stuff and not feel the pressure of, well, I can only be here for 5 seconds because I got 15,000 people behind me.
So I've had these teenage hero reptile figures for a while, and I had one with a broken sword, right? Like one guy that holds 2 swords. He he fell off my counter, sword broke, and this happened back in like 2019, maybe 2018, whenever the figures came out. Fell off my desk, broke a sword, and I've been trying to get a replacement sword for forever. This is the opposite one that was broken. So I walk up to the NECA panel who makes these figures, and I was like, dudes, by chance, do you just happen to have like an extra sword for this blue reptile that holds 2 swords?
Your action figures are not struck, man.
No.
The idea itself, but this is funnier. This is funnier.
This is funnier.
Exactly. Dancing around it. This is great.
Yeah. I was like, do you just like, my sword is broke like almost immediately. And I showed him, I have a picture on Instagram too. I was like, look at this. He's so sad. It was a picture of the reptile looking down at his broken sword, like kind of like going, oh, my sword is broken. And he was like, I got you. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, we just had a guy come and swap out some parts for another part because it's hard to get their parts. Like these are very exclusive toys and they don't just like send stuff out. He's like, you'd have a really hard time getting a replacement part if you needed it like through email or having it shipped to you because they don't necessarily do that.
Oh wow!
And dude comes up with 2 new swords for my figure, and I'm just like, thank the Lord, he fixed my toys, and so I'm so happy.
Wow.
And a shout out to NECA because they were really dope and super kind to just like donate to this poor kid looking for his reptile sword. Man,
that's amazing.
So happy.
They don't need our promotion, but if they want to send us free product, we will pop the shit out of that.
100%. 100%.
If we could guarantee with our 100,000 subscribers, at least like a couple more pre-orders for some upcoming products, could you send us your whole line of stuff? You know, Adam, they got the whole horror movie line. Like that's them, dude. They make
those things are beautiful.
Oh, I'm aware.
Yeah.
My wallet and I are very well aware.
What Augustine just described is my favorite thing about San Diego Comic-Con, really. I think it's really special among all the conventions, and that's like a perfect Comic-Con story. Like you go up to a thing, show them a thing, and then they're like, I got you. And it's your dream comes true. I love that.
It made my day. And I wasn't even on the floor for that long. I showed up on Saturday in the afternoon, just kind of walked the floor for maybe like an hour or two. And I didn't even remember until I got a text and they were like, hey, have you checked to see if NECA's selling any new turtles? And I was like, I know they're not, but I was like, I'll just go check anyway. And then I was like, oh, my sword. I'm going to see if they can fix this sword. And it just worked
whoever
out.
Texted you, they were selling new turtles. They were selling turtles from the third film. The Samurai. Yeah, I know. Same. I
don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like the second one very much either.
They're gorgeous figures. Yeah. Just in case somebody's listening on like the podcast and they missed our video announcement, and even since our announcement, we've been kind of talking and mapping out exactly what we're going to do. We can tell you guys a little bit of our plan. If you would be excited to watch some cool stuff with us, we're going to, not tonight, but tomorrow, watch our first anime film and do a reaction to that and put that out on YouTube, an edited version and an uncut reaction on Patreon. And let me tell you, I went into our Discord community today and I was like, look, we've already been talking. I've got a few.
You tapped into nerdom.
Yes, you did.
It was beautiful. It was beautiful.
Yes,
we were thinking about a couple of these, some classics, Akira, Princess Mononoke, as potential options for this first one. And definitely, movies that we'll get to and plan to get to later. But just if you guys have some recommendations, we got amazing recs at the meet and greet Saturday night, and the folks were so.
It's not just Rex, Hector. Okay, Adam, let me set up the situation.
It was a whiteboard.
It was not. It wasn't even just that. It was
straight up threats.
It was a group of concerned fans all surrounding Hector at a table. and they were so concerned for Hector's anime habits, and they were like, Hector, what do you like? What don't you like? We're going to recommend everything that we can. Like, they were really catering anime movies to you and like making
really
sure that like they want
really
your anime experience to be amazing. So whatever we end up watching, Adam, just know it's highly curated from diehard fans, probably very well thought out. So I think it's going to be cool. I think it's going to be fun.
And we will also, I think the plan is to get to an anime series as well. And we've had some plans talking about that, and we're pretty stoked on that. But I feel like we're going to do a movie. I forget exactly what we have in our schedule, but we've got August ready to go for at least what we're filming, and we're going to take a look at what we're releasing in August and and one of the things we're shooting for as well too is that cooking special. So
yeah, boy,
if you're listening to this on our podcast, thank you for listening. We're pretty sure you're subscribed. Tell your friends, tell your family. If you're watching this on the CzechXicans YouTube, thank you. Be sure you're subscribed here. Yes, so we're going to do these little bite-sized 30-minute episodes or hour-long episodes of the podcast every week. We're still planning to release special giant-size episodes or more regular-size episodes, special occasion things, and we've thrown around a bunch of different pitches, and we're pretty excited about it for things that will be in sort of a CzechXicans podcast episode. Once a month is kind of what we're looking at.
Yeah.
So,
the idea behind jumping into the podcast and kind of going into it, as much as we are, one, it's because, we're not covering any struck work from any struck companies. So it really lends an opportunity for us to have more check-ins, but also to be able to just kind of stay up to date on what's going on with the SAG-AFTRA and WGA strike, and to be able to bring, people on, whether there are friends who are in the Writers Guild or in the Screen Actors Guild, or people that maybe, that we know through, 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon that we can bring on to kind of talk about and get updates also from them as to what they're learning on a daily basis. Because, we're learning stuff every day too. Initially, when we made our first video, there was the whole sort of debate, defining an influencer versus a critic. And we kind of felt like we were very much in the gray area, kind of leaning more towards one category. Yeah. And we just kind of got a little bit more clarification on that. I think it was like 2 days ago. There's a reaction channel. One of the members of the reaction channel is a part of SAG-AFTRA. They were able to get an update from SAG themselves, which basically they said, if you're reacting to any sort of struck work, it can be seen, especially if you're trying to at some point join one of the two guilds, can be seen as sort of crossing the picket line. So I think for us, it just kind of cemented and made our decision that much more legitimate. We felt like for what we potentially want to do with our future in the industry and how we want to be a part of the industry, we wanted to make sure that we potentially had homes to go to if we decided to join the Writers Guild of America or SAG-AFTRA. So we didn't want to compromise any of those things. And more importantly, we just want to continue supporting the people that we know. And again, we're in a unique position because our whole thing is based in Los Angeles. So we have people who are directly involved with everything. You have to take everything into consideration when you make decisions like this. And I think for us, it just didn't feel like it was worth it. I don't know. I just think that like overall for us, it was a much better sort of situation to just say, you know what, let's pivot and let's just do something else. Whenever the studios decide that they want to, pull their heads out of their asses and come to an agreement with everybody, then we can focus on, bringing back the usual stuff that we do. But it doesn't mean we're going to go cold turkey. We're going to, work on other things. We're going to do reactions still, but we're going to do anime, which is something we've never tapped into. We're going to do cooking specials. We're going to do more video game playthroughs. All kinds of stuff. So, it's not like we're going away for whatever the duration of the strike is. We're going to be around and we're going to make stuff and we're going to engage with everybody just like we always have.
I'm going to get on my soapbox for a second and talk about why I support this damn strike. And it's very personal to me because all three of us met doing VFX and all three of our situations were different. But I think we can all agree is that it's an industry that did not leave a good taste in our mouths. And we all left the industry for different reasons, right?
Yeah.
Love the art form. Love the art form. Visual effects.
Absolutely.
Of course.
And even the things we were doing. You guys know I still love 3D movies. Like in my core. But you're right.
Yeah, 100%. And part of the reason why I feel so deeply connected to this is that I feel like I gave up on my dream because the industry did not support that dream, because we were working 12 to 16-hour days, 7 days a week for months on end. And then you get laid off at the end because there's no work, right? And so I felt very betrayed. I felt very betrayed by the industry. I experienced some racism. I experienced some favoritism. I saw things that probably should not have existed at that point in VFX, but they're allowed to thrive because there's no checks to VFX artists. And there's still to this day, there's other unions forming, and VFX artists still don't have their union. There was a push while we were there. I don't know if you guys remember it, but people putting the green picture in their Facebook profile, trying to get VFX workers to unionize. And if that would have happened, I probably would have still been a VFX artist, right? Because then I could go to family birthdays, right? Without the threat of being fired, because that would happen too. Like,
go on holiday and not be stressed. Am I going to have a job when I come back?
Exactly. Or just worry that it's Friday and they might lay people off today every Friday for 7 years. Like that's crazy, man.
That would exactly what you just said. That was traumatic. That was trauma. Yeah. Like it'd be Friday. You're excited for the weekend. At the same time, you're like, when 7 o'clock rolls around, am I going to have a job? And that would go on for months and months at a time because they would lay off 5 people, 10 people, half a team, 3 people, some people in this department, some people in that particular department. So you were always just like praying to God that your name wasn't on a list coming up soon. And it's just the worst feeling. It's the worst feeling in the world to be working, like we've put in sometimes 120 hours a week working on something, some studio movie. And you do all that and you sacrifice a Saturday, you sacrifice sometimes a full weekend, you're working sometimes 14 hours a day. And then on a Friday, you're praying that you have a job and you're like, this is broken. This system does not work.
I'll straight up call them out. That movie in question was R.I.P.D. That movie sucked. It's like you spend so much time as a visual effects artist sometimes on really crappy movies. Like R.I.P.D. In the years since I left the visual effects industry, I think there's been a little bit more awareness and a little bit more transparency about, so I'll be honest, back when we were working there and I knew that there was a push for like, we need to like organize and, but then you become aware as an artist at that level, oh, the only reason we have this work to work on is because our company underbid the competition.
Right.
And then you feel bad and you're like, oh, okay. So the whole company is hurting. All right. I get it. I'll roll up my sleeves and I'll get to work. I get it. But then in the past few years, we've learned about how much these companies actually make, the studios. And you've learned about how much a fucking CEO of these companies make. And then I think back to like what I was feeling, what I was stressed out, and then feeling guilty for wanting like better quality of life.
Right.
You know what I mean? And feeling guilty for like, do I have to use a sick day to like, I might go to the
doctor.
I can't.
I'm sick.
I guess I'm not going to go to the optometrist.
Yeah,
like not taking pictures of myself at Disneyland because I don't want to be seen like I'm like, spending time with friends or family and trying to be happy while I know that my coworkers are like, and I'm back to that same schedule on Monday or toiling. Exactly. And I just get mad, dude. I get mad about how much profit's on the table that is being withheld from everybody. We want visual effects artists to be respected, video game artists and developers to be respected, animators. This is something that's been happening in the animation industry, even comic book creators, artists and writers who oftentimes will work on something that ends up being so good that it gets adapted into a $1 billion movie. You know what I'm saying? And you've got still to this day, comic book creators. The creator of Spider-Man 2099 is having health issues. I'm talking about Peter David. And Peter David's wife keeps updating everybody who's contributed to the Kickstarter with like they're struggling with bills. They've had some health scares in the past few months and year. And I'm seeing Yuri Lowenthal, the Spider-Man video game voice actor, taking to social media and going, we just had this character in a huge movie. If you love Spider-Man 2099, if you love the work of this writer, Peter David, please, please, please help. And it's like, we should not have creators who have contributed this way to pop culture have to go through this. And it happened to comic book artists and writers, especially back in the day. We know the famous story of the creators of Superman.
Siegel and Schuster,
like, these people did not die wealthy. They died not wealthy. And there were very few people. There were very few people in the industry. Like Bob Kane was a guy who was like 1 in a million. Because his dad was an attorney and he was able to negotiate contracts for royalties and all that sort of stuff. I know.
But Siegel and Schuster, when they died, I think almost had nothing, which is insane to me that you create one of the create the most popular, well-known character in comic book history, American pop culture, American literature, and you die with literally almost nothing.
I want famous movie stars to keep being famous movie stars. I don't give a shit. Okay. But when you have CEOs that make so much more millions of dollars than them, and they're not involved in any capacity with a creative endeavor, you know, like I want the writers to share in that. I want the stunt actors to share in that. I want everybody in the cast and in the crew to share in something like the big successes of these big tentpole movies that have been crafted with love and everything.
Right.
And not even just for the movies I like, for even the ones I don't like. I want everybody who worked on The Flash to be respected and taken care of.
Right.
Unless you broke some laws, Ezra Miller, in which case I want that individual to maybe see justice. But do you see what I'm saying? It's this
justice
effort
for
that,
everybody.
And I think the big misconception about things like the Writers Guild strike and the SAG-AFTRA strike is, you know, and we've had people like this even in our comments say, why are actors complaining? They make millions of dollars. It's literally not about those actors. Those actors should be using their platform and their notoriety to make it known to everybody around the world why they're striking. Why are actors in Los Angeles working 2 to 3 jobs to barely make the minimum to be able to, and sometimes never even meeting the minimum to be able to afford healthcare from SAG-AFTRA, from you know, the thing that they invest into. Those are the people that it's about. It's about the people who don't see any residuals. It's about the people who, you know, get paid a day rate, and then there's the potential of them being abused by AI and using their likeness for the duration of time and not getting, you know, compensated for that. It's not about Tom Cruise, Matt Damon, Emily Blunt, The Rock. It's not about those people. It's about the guy who is right now working at a coffee shop or working at a restaurant and a coffee shop while still auditioning, trying to be a day player or a background actor or a bit, you know, having a bit in a show, praying he gets a line of dialogue because that will increase his income just a little bit so he can get over the edge of being able to afford to have health care or to provide for his family, you know. So it's just about equaling out the playing field a little bit so some of these people can actually like live in Los Angeles and pursue the thing that they love, and not everyone in the world being a curmudgeon and saying, well, get another job then, do something that pays better. It's like everyone should be able to pursue the thing that they want to do until they feel like they don't have it in them anymore to do it.
This should not be a controversial statement. If someone works at McDonald's full time, and I know McDonald's is always everyone's go-to example for fast food, for that level of job, the sort of nobody but a teenager should shut up, bullshit, hang on. If somebody works at McDonald's full time, Monday through Friday, they should be able to live comfortably in the city that they're living in and not have to get killed if they accidentally have to go to the hospital because of an emergency or not, you know, whether they're a teenager or whether they are 40 years old and they're the manager, or even not, even if you're 40 years old, 50 years old, and you're a McDonald's fry cook, but you're a damn good fry cook and you love your job. I'm describing SpongeBob SquarePants at this point, but like if you're good at what you do and you love it, you should be able to not just live, but like be comfortable. Be able to plan a vacation, have a decent and appreciable quality of life, something that other people can, you know, it's just insane how people hate the poor, dude. It's baloney. We're all of us poor. I was going to say the three of us, when these strikes started, the writer strike 90 days ago, and then the actors after, the three of us know a lot of writers. We don't know any rich writers. The three of us know a lot of actors. We do not know a single wealthy actor. And it's you would think living in LA and, you know, meeting the people that we do, and you know, even if somebody calls me out right now and they're like, you know, Felicia Day, I'll be like, she is not the Tom Cruise level.
She's not rich like you think she is.
Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. I'm sure, and I hope that she's fine, like living comfortably in Los Angeles. But can you imagine that if you're an actor, that you have to get to Felicia Day level before you're even like fine is ridiculous. You're comfortable. It's insane.
Here's what I want as well. So I want this strike to set a precedent for the future. For the little Augustine, the little Adam, the little Hector, who are going to meet at a future VFX company when they're older, right after college, they become homies. But I want them to be comfortable working in their jobs and staying as VFX artists. Staying in the industry and being happy with what they're doing, right? And not have our tale be like a cautionary tale because we're not in it anymore. And it's because these conditions are really, really rough and really not good for like the mental health of like trying to lead a normal life. And when we were doing VFX, we were not leading normal lives at all.
No.
Like not even in the
you only spend time with the people you work with. every day.
Yeah.
Every night.
Hey.
Yeah.
Let's be real. That's where this YouTube endeavor came from.
That's very true.
It literally never happened because of our extended work hours.
That's very true. Absolutely.
But I will say, actually, you might be right, Adam. I was about to say maybe we would still be doing YouTube if we were all still in that industry. But you might be right, Adam. Maybe not. But I'll say to Augustine's point, if that industry was better protected and protected its workers, I think, and if that industry did not ask me to move to Canada to keep my job just for tax breaks,
for tax money,
and not offer any additional pay. By the way,
brutal. And we have friends who went and did that, and they're doing well. They're doing fine. And some friends who did that, and they were like, "This is not for me. I don't want to live in Canada. I wanted to live in California. I want to be near my family."
And
whatever.
No diss on Canada, by the way. Canada's
not on Canada at all.
Good healthcare. Canada's great. Yeah, delicious snacks, poutine. Delicious.
I just didn't want to go up there. That's all.
Exactly. And if I had stayed because all of that had been, I would probably still be in that industry. I would probably still be, we would have worked on all the movies up to whatever they're doing now. Yeah. And maybe we would have been doing YouTube, maybe not, but maybe we would have if we had been protected and had sort of regular hours. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I didn't think I was going to get this mad doing this podcast with you guys, but everything you guys have been mentioning, I'm like remembering. I'm like, oh that sucks, dude. And it sucks what everybody's going through right now.
Yeah, I think we should tell our story. Like, I think we should really dive into like the nitty gritty. I mean, we kind of already have, but I don't think us as a group should be afraid or like hold back from telling our story, because our story is just as valid. And probably even more so because we're a deep result of why we're not in the industry anymore, right? Because of all of this stuff going on. But this goes across everybody. Like, we had a terrible time. Everybody in the industry is suffering like this. Like, it's not an isolated thing. Some people are lucky enough to be in a guild or part of a union and things like that. But like, this writer strike and actor strike is happening for a reason, because the industry needs to buck up, pay up, and shut the up and stop complaining, bro. Everybody needs to get paid. Everybody needs to feel fulfilled. Everybody needs healthcare and work hours. And like, I think I saw a statistic that 96% of the people in the SAG guild and the WGA don't make enough to cover their health insurance through the union.
It's there's 160, I think over 160,000 people that are members of SAG-AFTRA, and I think only 2,000 of them are actors who are making livable and beyond wages. So that would be about 2 to 3%. So that's why, when people leave comments and they always are talking about the top elite actors, those people exist in every industry. Doesn't matter if it's entertainment, healthcare, industrial, those people exist everywhere. You just happen to know the ones in entertainment because they are on your TV all the time. Right. But it exists all over the place.
Listen, England has a king. Doesn't mean that there's no problems to fix in England. You know what I mean? We got to fix it.
And it's England.
Well, and it's, it's funny you bring that up. There was actually an interview with Michaela Cole and was talking about the show that she had that I think now is streaming on HBO.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
But anyways,
HBO now doesn't matter.
So,
on a streaming service,
on a streaming service in America. But initially, the pitch was to put it on a different American streaming service. But the streaming service basically wanted to retain all the rights to it and give her no power over it. And this is a show that is based on her life. Yeah. So it's a multi-million-dollar deal. And she basically said, no, I'm not going to do it. So she went back home and she pitched it to
sold it to BBC.
Sold to BBC. And they actually have a clause that says that the owner retains a certain percentage of ownership over the product. So... we need things like that too, because there are so many of those types of things that get made in Hollywood.
Huge oversight.
Where you're basically just saying like, all right, well, I guess I'll put it on your massively successful streaming service because people will watch it, but I guess I'm also giving up something because of that. And I don't think that should be the case. Like if you create something, I feel like it's a little bit different when you're brought in to adapt something that a studio is already developing. That's a little bit of a different situation. But if you develop it yourself, you write the whole thing, you produce it, you bring in the finances, you do all these things to get it up and running, then no, I don't think that the streaming service should have exclusivity over the thing that you make. Like, sorry, I just don't believe in that. So there's a lot of those little nuanced things that are broken all over the place.
This is all connected. Everything that's happening, the labor movements that are happening across the U.S. right now are historic, and it's awesome. The fact that we're fighting against this encroaching technology, where the tech bros of the world have really screwed up things in the U.S. I think for the past couple. I mean, what the hell? Today was Twitter rebranded to X. The tech people are stupid.
Bro, I'm so done.
They keep ruining
I opened it and I went, what the hell is this?
You know, and that seeps into some of the non-creative and kind of not qualified CEOs that are in charge of these huge companies. They can just make calls like this. We're fighting against this, even with stupid things of like, we are pushing for physical media to exist for movies and TV shows. Another reason for that is that physical media gets residuals to the creators of the, you know, so if studios, and I think I saw this, I don't know how accurate this is, but our Australian friend Ryan posted about how Disney's going to stop physical media releases in Australia. And it's like, that's such a disappointing, crappy, and scary thing. There was some news going around also recently that kind of tricked some people, it kind of faked some people out, where
a steelbook for a particular show
that they thought was like getting a Blu-ray release from the studio, but it had no actual discs in it. And people were like, I cannot believe that this studio would stoop to this level to do this. Why are they doing this? Just because the show exists on a streaming service. But then people pointed out, no, this isn't from the company. This is like a fan, separate, independent company thing. And they do it because, honestly, probably pirators have already put the show onto Blu-ray discs. They just want it to live on their shelf with the rest of their collection of their franchise, which I kind of get. But I'm also like, man, we have to. We shouldn't be at that point.
No,
we have to do it ourselves. We have to,
we should be swimming in Blu-rays.
We should be.
We should be swimming. Well, Adam is.
I'm ripping my Blu-rays for a Plex server. I'm having to build my own streaming service because the streaming service promise was a lie. And at the end of that rainbow was just corporate greed going, if this doesn't work out, we're going to yank this stuff. And,
write it off as a tax. Yeah.
And we're screwed over. So I've been just ripping the stuff that I have, but it's now like the Library of Alexandria, where we're not even going to be able to hold on to everything. And it sucks, you know?
And especially when you got filmmakers coming out, like Chris Nolan was going through a video store in France today, or not today, but it was a video I watched with him and Cillian Murphy, and they're talking about movies, and he's like, I'm in super support of physical media because as the director, I'm putting all of my effort into the exhibition in the theater and on the physical media. Yeah. So if you're just relying on a streaming service, you'll see a version of the movie, but if you have the 4K Blu-ray or the Blu-ray, that is our seal of approval. We're putting all of our effort into making sure that we're translating the theatrical experience to the home as best as we possibly can in the highest quality possible. And, that's why we're such big advocates for physical media, because yes, the convenience of streaming is great. No doubt about it. I love the fact that most movies, they come with a digital copy. So if I'm on the go, I can take it wherever I want to go if I'm going on vacation or whatever. But I love the fact that I can go to my collection, grab a movie off the shelf, open it up, there's a physical disc in there, and I can put it into my Blu-ray player, and it's going to play the best possible presentation, that is available at that time. And sometimes, the Blu-rays are not always the best, but I feel like because physical media has in some ways expanded, but in also a lot of ways contracted, studios, and especially these niche sort of studios that are doing a lot of remasters, they are putting as much effort into the remastering work as they possibly can. And it's making a big difference because, a lot of people are now experiencing movies at qualities that were not available even like maybe 10 years ago. So, I hope that trend continues. And it's a bummer when shows suddenly are disappearing from streaming services, and we enjoy them, or our fans enjoy them, or as a group we collectively enjoy them, and now it's like, cool, now what? There's no way for me to get this. This sucks. Like, I want to be able to own this too because I love it. And if the studio doesn't believe in it enough or doesn't care for it, that's one thing. But like, I should still have the option to have to own a piece of it and to keep it at home. So I think physical media, hopefully, with everything that's going on, the pushes are big enough that, these studios will allow them to exist. And hopefully it's more residuals for the talent. Yeah. And, Matt Damon has talked about it. Snoop has talked about it in the music industry. Like, you're getting 1 billion plays, but we're not getting any money for this. Like, where's the money? This is ridiculous. This doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, man, I'm pissed.
Let's go burn it all down, guys. I'm fired up. We're just going to go burn everything down right now.
All you people up in there in City Hall.
In City Hall.
You're fucking it up for the people that's in the streets.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate.
Oh, man.
To recap, man, we're still going to hang out. We're going to watch geeky stuff. We've got anime films, some classic and some new stuff coming your way. We've got anime series that we are eventually going to get into. Video game playthroughs. Almost forgot about that Adam mentioned. Happening soon. And that's going to be a blast because we're not good at video games. And
you're not wrong.
Yeah. And a little side announcement too. Stay tuned to this channel because I think maybe next week I might be able to make more of a full official announcement, but we are doing something comics related in our network, I'll say. So stay tuned for that. And if you haven't yet, check out our Discord community. It's free. Go join it. People are geeking out every damn day. It's pretty, what do we have? Like 2,000 members? 2,000 plus?
I think more than that, but
in Discord, which is awesome. There's a few little sections in there where you can join exclusive Patreon conversations if you're a member of the Patreon, but otherwise it's the rest of the Discord is free, and there's going to be a bunch of awesome stuff happening in there. Cooking special in August. Stick with us, guys. Stay tuned. We so appreciate the support. We so appreciate I got to tell people at that meet and greet, I got to tell them, like, the fact that when we said, hey, we're going to pivot, maybe a few comments were like, RIP to this channel, peace out then. But 99.99% of the comments were in solidarity and were people going, yeah, man, that's fine. We tune in not because of the show you're watching. We tune in to hang out with you three guys. We'll watch whatever you guys are watching. We'll hang out with you guys, which just, it means so much to us. And I got to tell some of those people, like, that support is awesome. And it's great.
Yeah, especially because, our fans, they invest in us with, a lot of them invest in us with their money. Majority of people invest in their time, and we want to make sure that no matter what, we are still giving something back to everybody who's doing that, whether it's financial investment, time investment, even just the effort of being on our Discord and talking with us in our community every day, leaving comments, tweeting at us, responding to us on Instagram, whether or on Threads or whatever it is. We see all of that stuff. None of that stuff goes unnoticed. And, sometimes we don't get to retweet and, like and share every single response that we get, but we see 99.9999999% of them. And, we do our best to try to respond to everybody. And we, just the support it's amazing. And the fact that, we announced, like Hector was saying, that we're going to pivot and people do support that. That's huge for us, because I think a big worry for us was, well, if we pivot, the ship might sink. And that's something that we just have to kind of accept.
There's a possibility. Yeah.
There's a possibility. And, that's not saying that won't happen. It's possible. But the fact that people are willing to tell us, whether it's online or to our face, like, hey, at the end of the day, like, we're here for you guys. That's huge, because we're just three dudes on the internet who like to talk about the things that we enjoy. And the fact that people care enough to tune in on a weekly basis or every day or whenever you tune in and watch our stuff and want to be a part of the conversation is monumental. When you think about 100,000 subscribers, I know that this is like not necessarily something that would ever happen, but you think about, like, that number, that is more people that fit into Staples Center. That is more people that fit into most, like, college football stadiums. Yeah. That's a huge amount of people. And the fact that, those people in any way, shape, or form partake in the conversations that we have and contribute something to the community, or even if you're just a passive viewer and listener and you just like to, put us in the background, that is remarkable that we even have any of that sort of reach. So thank you guys so much. We really, really, really appreciate all the support. And cooking special, it's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait.
It's so good.
It'll be good.
Just to reiterate everything you guys are saying, like, I never imagined, I'm a small town kid from the middle of a cow town, right? Like, I never thought I would have a platform where people would actually look forward to listen to what I had to say. And I'm very grateful, and I want this thing to just keep moving on forever. And I think the meet and greet really kind of, like, energized me again, because just getting to meet the people was just like, wow, this is really cool. We had a really fun interaction with our man Oscar, the guy who brought us the burritos or the food last time. He brought burritos this time, Adam. Cynthia,
they're amazing.
Cynthia ate your burrito because you weren't there.
So good.
But
so good.
He brought his family. I got to meet his children. We got to have a really good talk, and it was incredible. So, and I just want to reiterate everything you guys are saying.
Dude, And everybody at that Saturday night thing was so cool that like there were a couple people who were only there for a little bit. When anybody was leaving, I would be like, "Oh, I was bummed I didn't get to talk to you more." Like I wanted to keep hanging out with everybody.
I made sure to like give time to at least a little bit of time to people. And we had one fan flying from Israel. Like she made an 18-hour flight to obviously see the convention. It wasn't
not just us.
But she was there.
She spent a day in New York beforehand, 24 hours.
Yeah.
I saw on her social media that she was like on a jet ski the next day. I'm like, we were just a part of it.
She was enjoying the fact that we were even a part of it is amazing. She put so much time and investment and everything. And so, I'm just fired up on the channel right now. I'm really looking forward to keeping it going. And we're going to do our best to make it through this strike. The writers and actors are also suffering as well. So, it's the least that we could do at this point.
Do not consider us a resource. I know we've got specific experiences and we were trying to dole out some information about the strikes, but we're going to try to do our best to kind of highlight other more official sources like Adam was saying. And hopefully sooner rather than later, we're going to have some guests on the CzechXicans podcast to just briefly kind of keep us posted, and then we can maybe have some conversations relating to the strike. So we're super excited about that. Again, like Augustine said, we have a platform.
Yeah.
I also never would have thought that we would have anything like this. So we're going to try to do some good with it. So we're pretty excited. But
like Hector was saying in the beginning, subscribe on both YouTube channel, CzechXicans and Heroes Reforged. If you're listening on the podcast, make sure you subscribe to the podcast feeds as well. We're on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts. We're literally on every podcast platform that I think in existence, as far as I know. And if you're listening on the podcast, definitely jump over to the YouTube channels as well. We're going to be putting stuff on there. Patreon as well. Like Hector was saying, every watch along that we do or everything that we film, there will be some sort of an extended version, some extra component to it that we will be putting on Patreon, and then we'll do the cut ups and cut downs for YouTube. So there's going to be stuff on all the channels. So just make sure you guys are following us on Discord. With social media, it's tough because, as we've seen today, Twitter is no longer Twitter, and you never know if those platforms are going to be there. So Discord, I would say, is number one. We'll also make sure that we try to keep our community tab on YouTube updated as well, just so in case people are on there, they can get updates, just so everybody's in the know. But until then, subscribe. Thank you guys so much for the support. Thank you guys so much for the love. Check out everything that we're doing, and we'll see you guys in the next ep.
Bye.